a sign, without a cross vignette, the real question to be asked, where have I been? I'm a shapeshifter at this masquerade, hiding both face and mind, a free for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter, what a should I be? Please don't take off my mask, revealing dark. Moments are gone, nothing to be found. A mirror in front of me is where I find an empty glass, reflecting there's a truth. It's telling what's up to be told. I need the mask. I'm a shapeshifter, Apple's masquerade, hiding both face and mind, afraid for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter, chained up to my core, but don't take off my mask, my place to hide. Once, there's nothing inside. When it always me burning down the walls, is that a way for me to break? I'm a shapeshifter, Apple's masquerade, hiding both face and mind, afraid for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter, have no face to show. Please don't take off my mask, my disguise. Without a clue, without a sign, without a cross vignette, the real question to be asked, where have I been? I'm a shapeshifter, at this masquerade, hiding both face and mind, afraid for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter, what a should I be? Please don't take off my mask, revealing dark. Moments are gone, nothing to be found. A mirror in front of me is where I find an empty glass, reflecting there's a truth. It's telling what's up to be told. I need the mask. I'm a shapeshifter, Apple's masquerade, hiding both face and mind, afraid for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter, chained up to my core, but don't take off my mask, my place to hide.
How's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a lovely, what is it, Thursday today? Must be Thursday today because you see I'm in my Green Bay Packers attire because the Packers play the Eagles tonight. So that should be hopefully a good game. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Obviously hoping for the Packers to win. But we're here today to talk about Mario Kart Tour, which released earlier today. I have actually been playing it on my phone here. Let me show you guys. I know it's going to be a little blurry there, but been playing it on my phone a little bit today. I want to talk about it because I've seen a lot of impressions on this game. I've seen a lot of impressions from it for many, many months ago from other YouTubers who had access to the beta program. And then obviously a lot of impressions today. People being, I guess for the most part, upset and not liking the game. My impressions of it are a little different from that because I actually do enjoy the experience, but there's obviously some caveats to that enjoyment, and there's things that people need to, unfortunately, kind of accept in order to enjoy the game. And if you don't accept certain things, I can understand why it's not enjoyable. But I want to talk because I am someone who does actively play games on my phone. I literally, see if I can show you guys here. I literally have, I don't know if it's going to show very well, but I literally have like a games folder right here and another games folder right here. So I've got, I don't know, 30, 40 games on my phone. And I play a little bit of them every day. Not something that, I play hours and hours and hours in every day. But, in short little bursts, whether it's going to the bathroom or if I'm on a commute somewhere and I'm not the one driving. And I'm sitting on my Switch right now, so, I've been playing even more of this than I have when I did have the Switch. But it's interesting. I spent about maybe an hour today messing around with it to get a good feel about what the experience is. And I want to talk about it. So before I get into it, I got to do what I always do, and that is shout out everyone who's in the chat right now. So we'll start at the beginning, I guess. Just Sam is here. Juan Castillo is here. Xander Ross is here. Ace Director is here. Mark Buhager. Johnny Hernandez, welcome to the stream. Corey Bohm. Let's see here. My favorite fan, the immoral John Hancock, is here. Katie Wright. Let's see here. Did I say Xander? I said Xander Ross, right? Olivia. Polly Chronopoulos is here. Let's see here. Legendary Link. One Random Gamer. Let's see here. I think that's everyone who's at least said something in the chat. If you want to get a shout out, obviously just speak up in the chat, and I will try to show you guys out. So first thing, one thing we have to recognize before we even get into my opinions on Mario Kart Tour is that Mario Kart Tour is right now, after less than 24 hours on the market, is the most successful launch of a mobile game in mobile phone history. The most successful launch of a mobile game in mobile phone history in the past was actually Pokemon Go at 4.7 million installs in the first 24 hours. According to some data I'm looking at, this comes from, I believe, Sensor Tower. Let me double check. Yes. Apptopia is actually where this early data is coming from right now, is Apptopia. So let me show you guys some stuff here. Let's see if this is gonna work. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, yeah, it's working. All right. So Mario Kart Tour smashed records on day one. It hit 10.1 million installs. Now, to be fair to Pokemon Go might have topped this number, but Pokemon Go didn't launch on both platforms simultaneously. But you can see on the charts here, Pokemon Go was over 6 million. Mario Kart Tour, right up there at 10. Clash Royale, Fortnite, iOS as well, right there. And then you can kind of see how it compares to other Nintendo game launches. Super Mario Run was the prior record holder for Nintendo published ones, and that was a little over 4 million. Fire Emblem Heroes is obviously their highest grossing one, and Animal Crossing, Dr. Mario, Dragalia Lost are all kind of down here. But yeah, Mario Kart Tour crushed Pokemon Go to become the most successful app launch in mobile phone history. So that's just to start right now, is that Mario Kart Tour is just insanely popular. I don't know if it's going to keep this momentum. I don't know where the plateau is. I don't know if potentially Nintendo has their Pokemon Go, their in-house first-party Pokemon Go game. They potentially have that in Mario Kart Tour. I don't know. All I know is it's starting off with a bang, and I wouldn't be surprised if it quickly becomes Nintendo's highest-grossing mobile game, if it's not already doing record numbers right now. Obviously, this is just installs. We don't know what the actual stuff is. It did have where you could pre-order the game, which is pre-install it, stuff like that on iOS and Android. So yeah, and it's number one in 58 countries on both app stores. So it's off to an insane start. I think that's just important to recognize that right now it is off to just an absolutely insane start. Now, that's not really, it doesn't tell you if it's a quality experience. I mean, Pokemon Go I thought was decent at launch, but was obviously underperformed everything that it promised, and only really now is Pokemon Go much closer to what the original vision was for the game. It definitely launched more bare bones and just took a couple years to actually catch up with the features that they promised at launch. And Mario Kart Tour seems a lot more polished than that to me. It feels like it's launching with more of the intended features than originally anticipated. But that being said, let's talk about why are people upset about Mario Kart Tour. And the primary reason is because it's sort of a gotcha game in a sense, like Fire Emblem Heroes, which, by the way, people didn't really get upset about Fire Emblem Heroes. But what happened, at least in my opinion, this is what has happened, is the game is extremely hard to get all the characters. It's extremely hard to get all of the car parts. You can earn most of the stuff through gameplay, but not all of it. And even if you tried to earn all of it through gameplay, it would take you an insane amount of hours. That's kind of how these free-to-play games work on phones, where it's like, yeah, you can earn the stuff in game if you spend 18 years playing the game worth of game time. It's kind of insane. So it clearly is pushing you towards microtransactions. Just like in Fire Emblem Heroes, you can get orbs and all that stuff without spending any money, but it would take an insane amount of time. And the percentages are really small. I've heard something like 0.3% for some character drops to pop out of that warp pipe. That's pretty insane to see such low rates like that. But it's not unheard of. I play World of Warcraft, and sometimes there are, well, at least I used to play, way back in the day when I played World of Warcraft, there used to be insane loot drop rates that were even like less than 0.3%. So I understand why it upsets some people when you find out what the rates are, that it upsets some people when you see just how many microtransactions are in the game or how much the game pushes you into microtransactions for all of the various stuff. This is the kind of thing that I was always afraid Nintendo would introduce into the main game, like, actual Mario Kart on a console. Thankfully, they haven't gone that far, and they saved it all for this. But setting aside the microtransactions that have upset some people, obviously there's people who don't like the controls. There's basically two ways to control the game. There's basically beginner controls and expert controls is essentially how it works, standard and drift. Basically, drift controls are just like drifting in Mario Kart. You can drift on your turns, and that gives you a speed boost. If you pick the standard controls, you can't drift, but it's easier to turn. It would have been nice to see a little more play in between, where it'd be maybe a bit easier to turn, plus you can drift, but then that might take away some of the skill. I did notice if you chose the drift controls, it is actually more difficult to do just a normal turn, because it automatically tries to go into a drift. And as you guys know, playing Mario Kart, you don't always want to automatically go into a drift. So it's definitely different, I guess is the best way to put it. Now, I'm by no means an expert. I don't know how to unlock everything in the game. I don't understand all of the various mechanics yet. But what I will say is that, to me, there are basically two types of mobile games. And I know there's a lot more than two, but this is just the two ways I categorize mobile games. There are those that are meant to be played in quick burst sessions. So we're talking, you're going to the bathroom and you got a couple minutes, or you're on a bus and you got 10 or 15 minutes, or whatever. Like quick burst games that you're not really meant to spend. You're not meant to sit down for hours and hours playing. So there are those type of mobile games, and I think those make up a vast majority of mobile titles. Your Candy Crushes of the world, your Angry Birds, any of those weird casino app games or whatever. Like all of these games are meant to be played in short bursts. They're not meant to be played for hours on end. You get 10, 15 minutes of entertainment, and you just move on with your day. That's what I feel the majority of games fall into. Then you have games that are meant to be played for longer sessions. I call these the games that you lay in bed with. So you could argue Dragalia Lost, as an example, from Nintendo, is one of those games that's meant to actually have a significant time sunk into it. But there's a lot of games on mobile phones as well that are meant to you're meant to lay in your bed, hold your phone like this, and play those games basically until your battery dies. That's kind of the intent of those games. And they do exist on mobile phones. Those are the games that people tend to enjoy the most on mobile devices. in terms of if you are into like traditional gaming. Like if you like console gaming, if you like gaming on 3DS, you like gaming on Switch, like gaming on Xbox or PlayStation or whatever the case might be, those are the games on mobile phones that tend to be more enjoyable because there's not as many microtransactions typically, or they're not as egregious, and it gives you hours and hours and hours of gameplay without any concern for anything else. Now, Mario Kart Tour falls into the first category, and I have a phone call from my fiance, so 1 second here. Sorry about that. Anyways, it's going to be a short stream anyways because my kids go home from school soon. This is more so I just wanted to kind of get some impressions out there. All right, so Mario Kart Tour falls into the first category, and that category is about quick play. You're not meant to spend a lot of time playing it. So while everything is unlockable, if you do spend a lot of time playing it, that's not the way the game is built. Nintendo knows that. It's built for you to spend money. But I just choose not to spend money on these kind of games. I try to enjoy free-to-play games for what they are. They are sample-sized games, and that's the way I've always viewed them. Mario Kart Tour is not Mario Kart. It's literally doesn't have a number in a title. It doesn't even feel like a normal Mario Kart game in that, you have all these different races for a cup, but then like each race feels individualized. It's not like each track is like its own individual thing. It's not like a continual cup where you go one to the next, the next, the next. There's no commitment like that. It's like one race. It's only 2 laps long. The courses are shortened, and everything about the game is very much compact and meant to be played in short bursts. So it's not really true Mario Kart. We're not looking at Mario Kart 9. If you were expecting Mario Kart 9 out of a mobile app, that's already your own problem, because that was never going to happen. Mario Kart 9 is something you will see on Switch or Switch 2 or whatever. But if you accept this game for what it is, which is basically a sampling of what Mario Kart is, it is an introduction to Mario Kart, and you can get really deep into it and try to collect everything if you want, or you could just play it for fun. I haven't even lost a race yet, but I don't have 150cc or 200cc unlocked yet, so I'm assuming I'm going to lose races then. I dominate as Bowser, by the way. I've Toadette and Bowser right now. I dominate as Bowser. I just bounce people all over the place because that's just what happens when you're a heavy. So I don't know. I find the more I play it, the simpler the controls feel to me. They're definitely hard to get used to. Those drift controls, moving, basically just moving like this, and then flicking up and flicking down for your items uses and stuff, or tapping. It takes some getting used to because I'm not used to that. I'm used to, the traditional controller, holding A and drifting and shoulder buttons, and that's not how this game is. It's all touch, which is understandable. It's automatic acceleration. And it doesn't bother me too much, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, you could tell going in that the game is simplified. It doesn't let you go off the track. As an example, if you screw up on your turns and you get to the edge of the track, you literally just bounce back on track. So the game is clearly not meant to be like this hardcore experience. It's meant to be a very casualized, short burst, quick play experience that gives people a taste of Mario Kart. This is probably the first mobile game Nintendo has released that is literally just a tease to potentially get you to buy Mario Kart on Switch. That's what this game feels like. It's a tease to get you to buy Mario Kart on Switch, and it's just enough fun to keep you entertained for likely the length of which Nintendo intends you to play the game, 5, 10, 15 minutes. So honestly, I think Mario Kart Tour is actually pretty good. I don't think that you need to be accepting of those microtransactions because that doesn't need to be something you approve of. But if you're not trying to play this like a traditional Mario Kart game and you're just playing it as basically like an introduction to Mario Kart, it's actually not that bad of an experience. Yes, the controls are a little finicky and take some getting used to. Once you get used to them, I'm going to tell you guys right now, once you get used to them, it's really not that bad. It's actually very simplistic and very easy. And the problem we have is that we're used to Mario Kart controls being a little bit more complex than this. So sometimes it's hard to wrap our mind around the simplicity of the touch controls, especially with the drifting. But I'm telling you can get a hold of it. You can do perfect turns and never bounce into anything and avoid objects and grab all the coins and fire your items just fine. It is possible. It just feels a little clunky at first. And yeah, you can get your quick start, which they don't even tell you how to do the quick start. You can figure it out beforehand, but they don't tell you until your fourth race. And it's not even like a race. It's like, oh, hey, here's how you do a quick start. Hold down, hold your finger down on the screen, in this one spot when 2 comes up on the screen on 3, 2, 1. So, I honestly don't feel like it's that big of a deal. And again, I don't know everything. Like Legendary Link says, you can turn off smart steering if you want. So I guess you can go off track if you want. Because there are some extra pathways I noticed in some of them that you have to go off track a bit. So I honestly don't think it's a bad experience. I think it's literally just a taste of Mario Kart for the masses. And that taste is meant to make them want more. And if they want more, go buy a Switch. Go buy Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That to me is what this is. Is it going to make a crazy amount of money for people that want to collect everything and get those fat whales out there? Of course it is. Nintendo's going to make a crazy amount of money off this game. It's literally destroying even Pokemon Go in terms of installs. So it's going to do some crazy stuff, at least at launch. But I honestly don't think it's bad. I know a lot of people, a lot of channels, a lot of videos I've seen where people are just mad at this game. And, I even had someone DM me and say, hey, remember when you said that Nintendo might become like EA? Well, here's the game that does it. And it's like, well, Fire Emblem did it. So did Animal Crossing. So did Dragalia Lost. Super Mario Run was like the only one they launched that didn't do it on mobile. All Mario Kart Tour is doing is what all mobile games do. And it's also the reason that a lot of traditional gamers don't like mobile games, because they are microtransaction to hell. But that's the audience. The audience on mobile phones is so accustomed to give me this game for free. Let me be able to play it almost infinitely for free. But if you want cool stuff, spend money. That's basically been the mantra of free-to-play games forever. At least you can argue this game isn't like some other games where it's like you need to contact your friends and get them to send you lives so you can keep playing, kind of thing. Which is a marketing tactic to get more people to install the game, of course. This is your Candy Crushes and stuff like that. So honestly, I enjoy the game. I think it's fun. I could play it for at least the length of time I think Nintendo intends to play it for, about 10 to 15 minutes. Even though I played it for an hour straight today, that was just me trying to dive deep enough into it that I understood the mechanics well enough and could see if like from the first race to the last one, if I got better. I like the point system, by the way. That's completely new to Mario Kart. They have like this point system that helps you rank up and level up. I like that point system. I kind of hope that comes to Mario Kart 9. Not maybe the exact same way it works in Mario Kart Tour, but something a similar point system style where you're awarded points for how much you upgrade your stuff and how well you perform. And I like all that. You perform a good drift, you get points. You get first or second or third place, you get points. I think it's all good, and I think that's the way these games should be, and I'm glad that's the way the games are. So I honestly am just fine with Mario Kart Tour. Could it be better? Of course it could. In an ideal world where this is Super Mario Run, where you get everything for one price and that's all good. But as Nintendo learned with Super Mario Run, despite having all these installs, that single price but get everything doesn't work on phones. If they did that with Mario Kart Tour, it still would have an insane install rate and it would flop. Because people would play like one race, then you'd have to pay, and people wouldn't do it. So the way they did it now is the best way to maximize revenue from a business perspective on mobile devices. And it's what people who actually play games on mobile devices are used to. Now, I don't spend money on the games I play on mobile devices, but I am so accustomed to seeing ads pop up that you have to close. Being reminded that you could buy things and then you have to close it. And it can be, immersion breaking, and it can ruin the experience in some games. But ultimately, if you play games on phones, this is what you're used to. So it's not shocking. It doesn't make it bad. It's just this is what the market is. And if Nintendo's going to release games into that market and they actually want to be profitable, they need to play by the market's rules. And the market rules on mobile devices dictate that you need to microtransaction the hell out of your free-to-play games. So that's what Nintendo's doing. As long as the core game underneath is okay, which it is, I'm genuinely okay with Nintendo doing that, because this isn't like them forcing this into Switch games, making us have to buy all the costumes in Super Mario Odyssey or something like that. This is them recognizing what a market does, catering to that market, and if you don't like it, you probably aren't playing games in that market anyways. Like, if you hate what Mario Kart Tour is doing microtransaction wise, chances are you're not someone who plays mobile games anyways, because that's what a lot of mobile games are like. Does that make them lesser games? That's up to the eye of the beholder. I already mentioned that there are games on phones meant to be played for hours and hours on end in your bed. There are even games on your phone meant to be played with external controllers. So not all mobile games fall into that first category that I mentioned earlier. Mario Kart Tour does, and those are the games that tend to make the most money, and Nintendo's a for-profit company. The entire reason of putting these games on phones is to make money. So kudos to them. If you don't like it, go play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on your Switch. It's a better game anyways. It was always going to be a better game. So if this isn't for you, Nintendo's already given you a Mario Kart for you. They've given you 8 of them. And there's probably a 9th coming, and a 10th, and 11th, and 12th. I don't think Mario Kart's going anywhere. So if this is not the Mario Kart game for you, it's okay. It's not meant to be. This is meant to be for the general masses who probably don't own a Switch. Anyways, that's really all I have to say on that. I'm just going to read a few things from the chat, and then we're probably going to wrap up this stream. It's a nice and quick stream today. 150cc is possible to not place first. 200cc's paywalled. Not surprised, because that is like the top tier of the racing. So I'm not surprised that the 200cc's paywalled. Let's see here. I don't mind the gotcha playing, but I mind the fact that Nintendo said this monetization is what they didn't want from their mobile games, and then they backed out on it. But here's the thing. What happened is, Sonic 47 Central, and I mentioned this before, is Nintendo's first mobile game themselves was Super Mario Run. They wanted to do what Super Mario Run did. Release a game, charge one low price, and be good. They released a game, they charged one low price. It's Mario, their largest IP, and it flopped. Okay, so that didn't work. Well, what do we do now? Well, let's release Fire Emblem Heroes, and let's make it a gacha style game with microtransactions. How does that do? Oh, that's our highest grossing game, despite the fact that it has a minute fraction of the install base of Super Mario Run, but it's our highest grossing game. Nintendo realized quickly that what they wanted to do on mobile was a recipe for disaster. If you want to be successful on mobile, you got to play by mobile games, because that audience is used to things being delivered a separate way. People on phones don't like, you're playing for free. Oh, boom, hey, it's going to be $10 right now for the rest of the game. They'd rather be told it's $1 for some stars to play the next level than be told you got to spend $10 for the rest of the game. Even though that $10 gives you what I feel is a much better experience, and you get to keep that experience forever. Unfortunately, the way people are accustomed in the mobile market is, we don't want to spend $10. 99 cents, baby. I mean, you can offer more than that for stuff, but you start at 99, you work your way up, and let the whales deal with everything else. And Nintendo learned a hard lesson with Super Mario Run, and that is why every game they have released since then, from Dr. Mario to Animal Crossing, Dragalia Lost, Fire Emblem Heroes, and now Mario Kart Tour, have all had microtransactions in them in some form, because that's just how you make money in the mobile space. And I said this from the beginning. I know Nintendo argued they didn't care about the money. They cared about getting people on phones to play these games, so then they go buy a Switch and play the associated games to the mobile games. I get that's what Nintendo said. I still think that's part of the plan, but I think they also realized, but if the games aren't profitable, we can't keep investing in something that's just a money sink. I think Mario Kart Run probably made its money back development-wise, but it wasn't really a super profitable venture for them. And if all of these games follow that same path, Nintendo would probably have stopped making mobile games by now. So Nintendo's just catering to the audience. It sucks, but that's the way it is. Let me see here. Thank you for streaming this. No problem. Hardcore's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is best. Casual's Mario Kart 8 Tour is best. True Gamers Mario Kart at Universal Studios is best. I haven't played that one yet. Did that is that the virtual reality one, or is that like the actual go-kart? I can't remember. I think they're building an actual Mario Kart go-kart race, aren't they? I know there's a virtual reality one out there. Can we talk Pauline making her first playable appearance? That is pretty cool. They have a lot more playable characters in this than I expected. Even though you can earn them, but for the most part they're trying to get you to spend money to unlock them. I see. Nintendo made their statement on their hopes for monetization methods after Fire Emblem. By the time they were trying to make a good impression, they had already backed on it. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Nintendo knows what Nintendo has. They want to make the mobile market be more like the Switch market, where they can charge you like a flat price for something, and that will basically be it. Because Nintendo prefers what gaming's always been for them. They don't like to do things that are out of their comfort zone. And if we're completely honest, doing microtransactions and loot boxes, that's out of Nintendo's comfort zone. They like to stay in their lane. And their lane is, we're going to try to release as complete experience as we can, and we're going to release it to you for one price. And if we're going to add more to it later, we're going to just do traditional DLC. We're not going to nickel and dime you. That is the way they approach most things on Switch. And I think they wanted to do that with mobile phones, and they're afraid now because the one time they attempted it, despite having all of these installs, it bombed. And these games that are barely getting any installs, maybe getting 1 million, are just making major bank. So I think Nintendo is just like, hey, we can't be doing that. Like, as a business, we care about money. And so they have what they want, and then there's reality. And reality and what Nintendo wants isn't lining up on the mobile space. It is on Switch. What they want works on Switch because the games are just selling like gangbusters, selling tens of millions of copies. But that's not necessarily happening on mobile devices. So, Sub Vasquez hits us with a $5 super chat before we log out. He says, I hope you continue your live streams. They help my day go by faster at work, and I really enjoy Nintendo conversations. Wish you the best, Nate. Thank you so much, Sab Vasquez. I appreciate that $5 super chat. It is awesome to see the support rolling in there. Iwata opposed mobile, but no longer leads Nintendo. Iwata opposed mobile, but did actually start the movement for mobile. He was the one that announced Nintendo was going to be making mobile games. The reason that Iwata opposed mobile is because of the way the market works, because what you have to do to make money in the market, he didn't like it, and he thought Nintendo had a better way. But Nintendo does have a better way. It's just that they would be dumb to also ignore the mobile market, because the mobile market's going to exist regardless of how successful Switch or whatever other handheld they do in the future is. So Nintendo still wants money like any company. Exactly. I always try to remind people Nintendo is great and everything, but Nintendo themselves is a for-profit business. They care about that money. That's what they want. So that's what they're going to get. And Mario Kart Tour, literally, I mean, just look at this one more time. Let's take a look. Mario Kart Tour is the best launch of a mobile game in mobile game history. It beat Pokemon Go, beat Clash Royale, and beat Fortnite. So it is huge. It's obviously destroying for Nintendo's first-party releases. So, Nintendo's dominating, and they're going to continue to dominate. Although I think Dragalia Lost is actually a second-party release Nintendo funded, but... Sunday 47 Central says that it'll bring Mario Kart Tour tracks Mario Kart 9. They'd have to have a label under them for which platform they came from. Like other retro tracks, they'll say mobile. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to ever bring Mario Kart Tour, like the new tracks in Mario Kart Tour, to Mario Kart 9, because they're just so short. But I mean, there are short tracks already. You know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has that one really super short one that you go around the track 8 times. So, I mean, I guess they could still bring them over. It's going to just be up to Nintendo and what they want to do. I'm sure there'll probably be at least one unique Mario Kart Tour track that gets into Mario Kart 9 just to kind of tie the games together a little bit, because Nintendo does that with Mario Kart. So just like Mario Kart Tour has shortened tracks of popular tracks from other games in it. So I'm not really going to be too shocked if a Mario Kart Tour exclusive track comes to Mario Kart 9. But I think the bigger question is, when are we getting Mario Kart 9? And is this going to be a springboard into Mario Kart 9? Like, are they going to announce Mario Kart 9 next year? Because Mario Kart 8 was back in 2017, and it was a port. So are we going to get an exclusive Switch Mario Kart, even though Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still selling really well? I don't know. Mario Kart Tour, I think, would be a great thing to bounce off of, though, with how popular it is. Run that into 2020, announce Mario Kart 9, release that, tag team the holidays of Mario Kart 9 and Breath of the Wild 2, and tell PlayStation 5 and Xbox 2 to show up next year. or show up in 2021. Actually, it doesn't really matter. I actually like all platforms, but I do think Nintendo is not going to release new hardware to combat the hardware next year. So I think Nintendo's best bet is to hit people with games that are undeniably popular. Mario Kart 9, Breath of the Wild 2. We already have Animal Crossing next year. You throw one more title into the mix there. I don't know what, I don't know, Metroid, or I don't know what it would be, but something in Nintendo Switch will be hard to deny next holiday, especially when you can buy a $200 version of it that can also play all of these amazing games. I think it's going to be hard to beat, even with the next generation at our doorsteps. Mario Kart 8 brought GBA tracks. If they could build upon Mario Kart Tour's tracks at some point, that'd be great. Yep, that's what I was saying. Mario Kart 9 will probably have some Mario Kart Tour tracks, or at least one. Maybe two, but it'll have at least one in there. It is cool in Mario Kart Tour seeing some shortened tracks from like GameCube and all that. It's pretty neat, and it tells you like where the tracks are from too, which I mean Mario Kart's always done, so that's not surprising. But it's just nice to see that even though it's not the exact same track and it's shortened a little bit, they still give proper credit and let people know, all these casual people who have maybe never played Mario Kart, being like, hey, there's this long running history of Mario Kart, if you didn't know. And what I can't wait to see is if Mario Kart 9 launches, if they start to put ads in Mario Kart Tour for Mario Kart 9. I think that would be an interesting use of the applications. I thought they might do a Fire Emblem Heroes, use Fire Emblem Heroes to advertise Fire Emblem Three Houses. I don't think that happened, that I'm aware of. Maybe I haven't been playing Fire Emblem Heroes in a while, so maybe it did happen. But I think that's a smart thing Nintendo should do, is like on launch day, put up an ad in these mobile apps. Be like, hey, today, did you know the next great Mario Kart, the next great Fire Emblem launched on Switch, or something like that. But remember on Wii U, when the Wii U screen used to turn on in like the middle of the night and you'd get an ad? Something like that. But only when you launch the game. I mean, I guess if you have notifications on for the game, I guess you could pop a notification on people's phones. But because I get so many notifications on my phone that I don't, I want to say that I get so many notifications, I ignore them, but I don't. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Sab Vasquez, for your $5. I appreciate it. I will send this stream live after the fact, and you guys can go check it out. If you're watching it after, thank you so much. These are my impressions of Mario Kart Tour. I think it's fun. I think it's fine for what it is, as long as you can accept what it is. If you can't accept what it is, then you probably don't play games on your phone anyways, and you're not the market Nintendo's targeting. So, all right, peace out.